Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Beth Ann, and today I'm doing my May reading wrap-up, which is going to be pretty simple. So I read 7 books in the month of May, but 6 of them I've already talked about in a BookTube Prize ranking video for the quarterfinals. So I'll just cover those super briefly at the end. But the one non-BookTube Prize book that I read in the month of May was Phantom Planet by Michael Ronn, which is the second book in his Galaxy Mavericks sci-fi space opera series. I read the first one, Honors Reserve, in February for the Black Author Tuber readathon, which was a readathon hosted by Margaret Pinard, where we all chose different Black author tubers and read their indie published works. So I really enjoyed that first book, and I read it as a buddy read with John over at Hey Y'all Listen Up. It was a solid 4-star book. It was a good story, very fast paced. The main character was sympathetic. We got some character development. We got to see his emotional side. And he was a sort of Coast Guard reserve, I guess, who'd gotten called up to serve in space on a rescue ship. And so as you can sort of imagine what the plot would obviously be, he is called, or his little rescue ship, which is only a crew of 3, I think, is sent after a, floating quiet ship in space to figure out what's going on, and then the plot unfolds from there. So it was definitely a really fun, enjoyable read. John also ranked it 4 stars, so solid enjoyment by 2 people. So we both had a similar experience with Phantom Planet, the second book in the series, which we buddy read again in early May. And in this one we get introduced, actually, well, he read it in late April and I was a bit behind. But anyway, in this one we get introduced to a new main character, and I'm spacing on her name. I think it's Kelty. It's something really cute like that. Who is an intergalactic real estate agent. She sells entire planets to groups of people who are looking for a new place to start over. And so that's the whole premise of this book, is that she's on a showing mission. So she's got a spaceship full of potential clients. They are, I think, sort of a religious, some sort of like religious, political, maybe more political, but they're sort of a sect that is looking for a new place to start over, where they can have a little bit more control over their lives. So she takes them to a planet that looks, pretty perfect, and some things happen as she's showing them the planet. So I don't really want to give away anything more than that, because the surprise was definitely a really big surprise that really got me. So definitely a really enjoyable book. And then the cool thing at the end of this book was that we actually met Grayson, I think was his name. We met the main protagonist from the first book at the very end of the book. And so that's the structure for the whole series, is that each book is going to center a different protagonist, a different maverick. So someone who is sort of saving the day, and is someone you wouldn't expect to be a hero, who becomes a hero through circumstances. And then what I read about it was sort of Avengers style. They were all going to come together at the end, but I was expecting it to happen at the end. And here we are in book 2, where 2 of our characters have already met. And in, I think, a pretty great way that will keep momentum going through the series, because at the end of this book, it started to be revealed to us that there's something really big going on, that perhaps these like weird things that happened to these first 2 characters might not necessarily be isolated incidents, that there's something going on in the universe. So so again, another really solid read, and a series that I'm still looking forward to continuing with, and I think John is too. So we'll continue buddy reading that as we get time and get ourselves together. And these are short books, I should mention also. They're almost novella length. Okay, and then I actually want to just do a quick jump back to April, because in my April reading wrap-up, I forgot to mention that I finished the 11th book in the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, which I'm buddy reading with a real-life friend, my coworker, Zach. So we finished that book in April, and there's not much to say about it really, because it's a sequel so late in a series, and I know plenty of people haven't read the Robert Jordan books, and I know people on BookTube who are still planning to, so I don't really want to talk much about it. But I will just say that that this series is famous for having several books that slump in the middle of it, and the last several books I felt like were coming out of the slump, but to me Knife of Dreams was just a really solid book. I think the pacing was a lot better. We started to actually get some really important plot movement in a lot of the plot lines happening in the books. So I really enjoyed it, and gave it 5 stars, but that's also partly nostalgia because I love Robert Jordan. It's definitely not a perfect book by any means. Okay, and then finally in May, as I mentioned, the bulk of my reading was the BookTube Prize quarterfinals. I was reading in one of the nonfiction groups. So I've recorded a video where I share my thoughts about each of the books and the ranking that I gave them. So I will share a link to that down below if you're curious, but here I'm just going to remind everyone what the titles were, so that if there's something that you've been wondering about, or you've heard someone else talk about and you want to hear my thoughts, then you can go to the video. So those books and my ranking of them. So number 1 for me was Chasing Me to My Grave. And I didn't write the subtitle. It's like an artist's memoir of the Jim Crow South, I think, by Winfred Rembert. And that was also a Pulitzer Prize winner. Number 2 for me was A Little Devil in America, Notes in Praise of Black Performance by Hanif Abdurraqib. Number 3 was All In, an Autobiography by Billie Jean King. Number 4 was Diary of a Young Naturalist by Dara McAnulty. Number 5 was Empire of Pain, The Secret History of the Sackler Dynasty by Patrick Radden Keefe. And number 6 was The Doctor's Blackwell, How Two Pioneering Sisters Brought Medicine to Women and Women to Medicine by Janice P. Nimura. And overall, I enjoyed all of those books. None of them was below a 4-star. The first 2 books in particular were 5-star books that I just thought were absolutely phenomenal. But overall, it was a really strong category, a really strong group, and I didn't have any real major critiques about any of those books. I mean, I loved them all. Okay, so that was my May reading month. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!